Please, yes, please share with me the resolutions that you're going to use.
I didn't share.
Noel, share the resolution that...
I didn't share.
You share with me.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
And then share it with me.
Those are not signed. They also need to be designated like that.
Because I'm the one projecting them on the board, so...
Can you sign those and also
I'm going to explain all of this in a second, okay? So let's have everyone sit down, please, and share your resolutions with me, please. Yes.
Could you remind them that it's so sad when you're an admin in the room and there's no note passing. You sit in the corner. I know.
All you have to say is, I'll explain it to someone. But basically, I think you're not first, you have a little time before you speak to you and Sure, or you could add more, who's chairing the
Wujin and I are both chairing, however we haven't decided to. It's going to be one.
Okay, so basically they
What are the odds?
and then you and DP.
Can I steal one of the placards from one of our students who weren't there, and then be a delegate?
No.
Oh.
Well, we usually don't do that because that just probably creates a lot of hassle. We're like moving around. So I would just say, like, choose one if you didn't vote.
Then I would
So A starts on the front row, yeah. A here. Latter part of the alphabet towards the back.
Yeah, you're the main submitter, so you should be doing it. Yeah. It's fine.
Raise the placard once if they're a delegate of Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm going to explain all of this.
Okay.
All right, delegates from grades 4 and 5. So, next up is going to be the General Assembly. That's going to be with everybody, including the middle school delegates and the European school. Think about when we were here for the opening ceremony. It's going to be all those same students. So all of our chairs are going to be filled up to the railing. In back of the railing, we will have places for any parents who might come for the closing ceremony. The General Assembly is for all of you, and your chairs are going to lead you in that. The closing ceremony is where we can invite guests, like your parents, who might want to come and see it. Both this General Assembly and the closing ceremony are going to be live streamed. So if your parents wanted to see everything, but they can't get to school, it will be live streamed and they can see it at home. Okay? After the conference is over, we will be dismissing you, but wait for us to it's going to be the closing and all of this and congratulations and applause and all that. Stay seated because FISW, we will have an announcement for you so you can gather up your backpacks and head to your buses. And FISO, you're going to make sure that you have all your personal belongings, like your water bottles and your pencil cases. We always have those left behind. You're going to make sure you get all your stuff, and then you are going to return to your classroom because we're going to let you out a few minutes early because you probably have a backpack or a jacket or whatever else, and we're not letting you out at 3:05. It's not dismissal time. So you're going to go back to your classroom. That gives you an opportunity to put some things down, grab other things. Remember, there's no school tomorrow and Friday, so make sure that you have everything you need because you're not going to be back here till next week. Make sense? Yeah. Let me just take one quick question. Is it okay what? Oh, yes. If your parents are picking you up, because you already know that they're going to be coming to the closing ceremony, then wait here, and then the kids will go, and then we'll let parents know that they can meet you outside. Because outside here is very crowded, and we're going to have 145 kids wanting to get out. So we'll ask parents to go out to the grade 2 playground area and meet you there so that they're not kind of stuck while everybody's trying to get out the doors. Okay? If you've already made arrangements with your parent that they're picking you up, then that's fine. You obviously don't need to go back to your homeroom unless you need to. So we're going to get some, Ms. Morash, you want to say something about FISW?
Yeah.
Can you raise your hand if you're from FISW? Okay, so it looks like you're all here. If you look around at each other, is there anybody that we're missing? We're just missing Miss Brauchman, I think, right? No. Does anybody? Joshua is not here? The delegate of what?
Okay, remember we do have 2 students in quarantine. So there would automatically be 2 missing. Okay.
So what's his name? Just Joshua is missing. Okay. Joshua, Brady, and who? Chanjuna. Okay, well, I'm gonna go and look for them.
We're gonna go find them.
What I would like to say for our FISW friends is that raise your hand if you think one of your parents will be coming to the closing ceremony. Okay, so there's a good number. So before you go off with your parents, just please come and let me know. If you are not going home with a parent today, I need you to stay just outside the auditorium, okay? All of your friends from FISO will be going back to their classes if they're not going home with their parents, but I expect everybody from FISW who is going to go on the bus to get back to FISW to stay right out of the auditorium, right where you were having lunch, okay? Please stay there so that Ms. Brockman can go on the bus with you.
Yes, now we're going to talk a bit about General Assembly and how that's going to work. Basically, how General Assembly works is that now you guys get to all debate together. Instead of being separated into your 3 committees, you are now all together debating on the 3 resolutions picked out by the chairs themselves, which we will be debating all together. If you are not in this committee, we really highly recommend you to still participate. The point of coming together for a General Assembly is that rather than just the people in those committees speaking, all of you get to now speak on the resolution and give your opinions or your country's opinions. No passing will still be allowed. We do have our admins here, so if you want to do note passing, that is still allowed. We will also have points of information. How points of information work are that if you ever have a point of information, you raise your placard. When the Secretary General calls on you, you go to one of the 2 microphones here, in the middle. Those are the places where you'll give your points of information. And of course, as you did in committee, you say it in the order that you were called on. We will first be doing the resolution from SPECPOL, which has the main submitter of the United Kingdom. So this is the podium which you all will be speaking from. If the Delegate of United Kingdom wants to come up and read out their clauses and then give an opening speech on their resolution.
United Kingdom from SPECPOL. United Kingdom from SPECPOL, please approach the podium. Dear delegates, do you have access to this document? Could you check it now and tell the chairs?
The main submitter, please do not proceed with your speech. Please hold for a moment. Okay. So, I'll be making this into a PDF copy, this will be going to the your folder, okay? Because if it isn't actual document, we are not going to say, and it'll be editing in advance, so we can make it right.
Excuse me. Where will this or just this? The clauses.
Oh, for the clauses, 1 second. Julian, did they read the full resolution out loud? So just read the main clauses, okay? So not the sub-clauses.
So just calls upon and then.
Yeah.
So delegates, could you please pay attention? Thank you. How we're going to be doing this is that in the shared folders, so for ECOFIN, Environment, and SPECPOL, what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be putting the resolutions as a PDF in each of those. So you can access the resolution for all of them through those shared folders. We are doing it right now, so please hold for another 2-ish minutes.
Delegates, before we proceed on the General Assembly, could the delegates please access the shared folders for the Junior Model United Nations and open the file, the PDF file named the GA SPECPOL Resolution United Kingdom. Furthermore, delegates, for the General Assembly, if the delegates wishes to submit an amendment, please use the clause paper and deliver it through admin staff. Delegate of Colombia, please approach the podium. Please approach the mic in the middle.
The Wi-Fi is not working. Yeah, it's not working at all.
What?
Terrible.
Okay. Yeah. This is in the SPECPOL, the each folder. Okay. No, I mean, I've also put in the EPP environment. Just a second. Yeah. Are the admins not here? Or? We need to start in at least 3 minutes, okay?
So I go here.
Yeah, so can you speak one thing here?
So like that.
A bit louder?
Guys, like this?
Yeah.
I just read this, right? This.
Only read close up and not
This.
ABCDs.
Not giving.
Delegates, please be silenced.
Calls upon the United Nations to contribute money to a common account set for refugees relief. Calls upon all member states to contribute money to a common account set for the refugees relief where each country contribute in relation to its economy. When the state member is directly affected by refugees, this is just a small financial contribution.
All good? You guys okay?
I can do this. I can do this.
I'm sure it is.
FISW friends, if you have a backpack that's out there where you were eating, I'm going to ask you to get up, please, and grab it, because it should be at your side right now. There are going to be lots of people coming through that area, and I don't want you to have to go around looking for it when parents are here. There are upper school students who are eating, so just grab your things. If you have something that belongs to you out there, please go and grab it now.
Ujun, some delegates are opening the Word document.
Some
Some delegates are not opening the PDF, they're opening the document.
I think also because you've been practicing.
But they cannot find it.
Up a lot. I'm sure the first time you were nervous, but then as you went up, it got easier and easier, right?
Dele-
You know if your parents are coming?
Delegates,
My mom
if
is
you cannot find it, it is in there. I'm sure you guys will be able to find it soon enough. However, for the moment, if you guys cannot find it, simply during the debate, it's right up here behind us. So you can just read it from behind us if you don't have the access to it yourselves.
Admin staffs, please secure positions, and officers, please return to seat as soon as possible. The General Assembly will start in 1 minute. All officers, please be seated. Order in the House. Order in the House. This year, I, the Secretary General of the FISMAN, will be acting as the President of the General Assembly due to multiple complications. Without any ado, due to time constraints, could the main submitter please proceed with their main submitter speech?
calls upon the United Nations to contribute money to a common account for refugees relief. Calls upon all member states to contribute money to a common account set for the refugees relief, where each country will contribute in relation to its economy. When the state member is directly affected by the refugee crisis, this suggests a smaller financial contribution. Proposes locations in multiple countries that are sparsely inhabited, might have abandoned buildings to be used for refugees. Requests that the state members will ensure that refugees have the freedom to succeed, our ability to integrate and contribute fully to society, such as, but not limited, stresses out the importance of maintaining clear, well-defined routes for refugees in need of protection. Calls for countries to set up camps around the border. Further invites all countries to donate and help refugees. Suggests that NEDCs to help if a country has a political, health, economic, educational, or war problems. Suggests that NEDCs to help if a country has a political. That was a double quote.
Thank you for your speech, Delegate. Does the Delegate open itself to any points of information?
Yes.
The Delegate has opened itself to any and all points of information. If there are any on the floor, please raise their flat cards now. Seeing none, how does the Delegate wish to yield?
Yield back to the chairs.
Thank you very much. Now the chairs will be entertaining an open debate time on the resolution as a whole. The chair set by time as 30 minutes. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against the resolution as a whole or submit an amendment, please raise their cards now. Delegate of Vietnam, you've been recognized.
So, the delegate of Vietnam thinks that we should keep this because the refugees are very helpful, and also for people who need them, they come to help.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate open itself to any points of information?
Any and all.
Seeing that delegate has opened itself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their cards now. Seeing none, how does the delegate wish to yield?
I yield to the chair.
Thank you very much. So yielded. We're once again in an open debate session for the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against the resolution as a whole or submit amendments, please raise their cards now. Delegate of Iraq, you've been recognized.
Dear fellow delegates, most esteemed chairs, the delegate of Iraq agrees strongly with the resolution because it shows the need of the refugees, such as Clause 3, proposes locations in multiple countries that are sparsely inhabited and might have abandoned buildings to be used for refugees by renovate old factories when possible for large-scale housing, build apartments, build schools, build health facilities, and shops. The delegate of Iraq finds this a good idea because then the refugees will have shelter, education, and more. Also, the locals will finally make use of some of the old factories that aren't in use. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate open itself to any points of information?
Any at all.
Seeing the delegate has opened itself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their cards now. Seeing none, how does the delegate wish to proceed?
Back to the chair.
Thank you very much. Delegates, the chairs would like to remind all delegates the note passing is available, and also they may submit amendments through the cross papers, which will then be added into our speakers list. So, if there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against the resolution as a whole, please raise their cards now. Delegate of Colombia, you've been recognized.
The delegate of Colombia believes that the clauses are very similar, and it's pretty hard to happen. For example, the clause 1 and 2 are very similar, and where would the money come from? And there are 8 billion people on this earth. The money on earth would go very quickly.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate open himself to any points of information?
Any at all.
Seeing that the delegate has opened himself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their cards now. Delegate of Unicef, Mongolia, United Kingdom, you've been recognized in that order.
Does the delegate of Colombia realize that this money would probably come from the UN's fund?
Yeah, still it would come from the United Nations Fund, but as I said, there are 8 billion people on Earth, and if everyone recycled and stopped using plastic, the fund would go pretty quickly.
Delegates, apologies, the chairs would like to interrupt the debate. If a delegate wishes to make a point of information, please stay in front of the mic until the respondent replies. Thank you. You may proceed with your points of information. Would the Delegate of Unicef would like to retract their points of information? Mongolia? Thank you very much. Delegate of... was it Vietnam? Delegate of United Kingdom, please proceed with your points of information.
Is the Delegate of Colombia aware that refugee migration is... this delegate's question has already been stated.
Thank you very much, Delegate. How does the Delegate wish to yield?
Yield to the chair.
Thank you very much. Since the floor is once now again open, the chairs will be entertaining a speech for or against or an amendment for the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech or an amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Spain, you've been recognized.
The Delegate of Spain believes that the refugees need to be treated same as their own country peoples. So I think I agree with this clause. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate, for your speech. Does the Delegate open to any points of information?
Any of all.
Seeing that delegates have opened themselves to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
Thank you very much. We're now once again in open debate, and if there are any delegations wishing to make a speech for or against or submit an amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Greece, you've been recognized.
The Delegate of Greece believes that we should keep refugees here and strongly supports this amendment because if we didn't have refugees, we wouldn't have a strong community. And if we have a stronger community, then we'll have a stronger world. Thank you.
Delegate, thank you very much for your speech. Does the delegate open herself to any points of information?
Any and all.
Seeing that the delegates have opened themselves to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the delegate wish to yield?
Yield to the chairs.
So yielded. Thank you very much. The floor is once again open, and the chairs will be entertaining a speech for or against or an amendment for the resolution as a whole. If there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Guatemala, you've been recognized.
The Delegate of Guatemala agrees with this statement because if the migrant adults don't know the rules in this country, they'll have to be trained, and the reasons they said that they will have to train the adults to know the rules for the country.
Thank you very much, Delegate, for your speech. Does the delegate open itself to any points of information?
No.
Any at all?
No.
Seeing that the delegate has opened to no points of information, how does the delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
Thank you very much. So yielded. We're once again now in an open debate. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech or an amendment for the resolution as a whole, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Yemen, you've been recognized.
Whilst the Delegate of Yemen agrees when Clause 3 says that abandoned buildings should be used for refugees, the Delegate of Yemen thinks that there should be health and safety regulations that should be met when refugees live and stay so that the buildings can be used for refugees. It is a good idea, it is a good idea for refugees to stay in abandoned buildings, but it should not be an unhealthy environment for them to live in.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Before we proceed on, could the admin staff please turn on the computer again so that the resolution is visible for all delegates?
It needs a password.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate open himself to any points of information?
Any and all.
Seeing the delegate has opened himself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Benin, Poland, Republic of Korea, you've been recognized in that order.
While the Delegate of Benin agrees with the Delegate of Yemen, she wonders what or who would make sure that the facilities that they use are safe.
Like health and safety specialists and, doctors and stuff.
My question has already been asked.
Thank you very much. Would you like to retract your the delegate's POI?
Yes.
So. Thank you, Delegate. Does the delegate yield the floor back to the chair?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Apologies. Did the Delegate of the Republic of Korea make their points of information? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, delegates. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against or submit an amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Finland, you've been recognized. Delegate of Finland.
I find that this resolution is a very great one because we need to raise more awareness about these refugees and what's going to happen to them if we don't take action. It supports all the ideas I think about refugees, and that's why I think it's very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate open himself to any points of information?
Any and all.
Seeing that the delegate has opened himself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Benin, you've been recognized.
The Delegate of Benin, agrees with you and thinks that and wonders what things that citizens should know more about with refugees.
Citizens should know more about the fact that
refugees are everywhere, and the fact that some people don't accept them into their countries is a terrible idea, and no one should not know about that.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The floor is once now again open. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against or an amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Mongolia, you've been recognized. Does the Delegate of Mongolia wish to propose the amendment? That will be in order. The General Assembly. The amendment submitted by the Delegate of Mongolia reads as follows. Add and refugees to clause number 4, subclause C.
I think that you should add and refugees because it said specifically only adults, that you should only train adults to have specific skills, but it doesn't really make sense to me because the topic is about refugees, so I think you should definitely add refugees to that.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the Delegate open himself to any points of information?
Yes, any and all.
Seeing that the Delegate has opened himself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise the flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the Delegate wish to yield?
To the chair.
So yielded. Thank you very much. Now the chairs will be entertaining an open debate session on the amendment as a whole. If there are any delegate wishing to make a speech for or against on the amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Unicef, you've been recognized.
The delegation of UNICEF strongly urges and supports this resolution. Every refugee and children deserves the basic rights. They don't choose to have war or human rights violation or environment and climate issues. Therefore, the delegation of UNICEF believes the resolution is reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the Delegate open itself to any points of information?
Any and all.
Seeing that the Delegate has opened itself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the Delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
So yielded. Thank you very much. The chairs will now be entertaining a closed debate session on the amendment as a whole. There will be one speech for and against the amendment as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for the amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate Franks, you've been recognized. Delegate Franks, could the chairs clarify that the delegate is making a speech on the amendment? Then please proceed.
The Delegate of France agrees with these clauses and subclauses. The Delegate of France also finds that refugees are very important to some people around the world. Refugees are helpful for immigrants and some homeless people. Since they provide health care, education, and sanitation, they are important for many people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate wish to open itself to any points of information?
Any and all.
As the delegate has opened itself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
Thank you very much. Now the chairs will be entertaining a speech against the amendment as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech against the amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of United Kingdom, you've been recognized.
United Kingdom is against this amendment since by saying train adults, we mean train adults that are refugees. So refugees that are adults, basically. So we do not need to add and refugees.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the Delegate open itself to any points of information?
Yes.
Seeing that the Delegate has opened itself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise the flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the Delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chairs.
Thank you very much. The time set for this amendment has elapsed. The chairs will now be entering the voting procedures for the amendment as a whole. The chairs would like to reiterate that this is a voting procedure for the amendment, not the resolution. Admin staff, please secure the doors and suspend all nose passings and be in positions. All the delegates wishing to vote for the amendment, please raise their flag cards now.
I would like to remind delegates that since there are like double and triple countries here, only like now that you're all together, only one country can vote in like between themselves. So for example, if there is two Italys, then only one, like you got to have to come to a decision about whether you're going to support or go against, and then you have to vote together.
The chair asks again, all the delegates wishing to vote in favour of the amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Please lower them. All those wishing to vote against, please raise their flag cards now. Due to an overwhelming majority, the amendment has passed. Please make appropriate changes to the resolution. Delegates, the chair will now be entering open debate on the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against or submit an amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Germany, you've been recognized.
Fellow delegates and esteemed chairs, the Delegate of Germany is for this resolution because refugees can migrate in an easier way, as Clause 5 states, stresses out the importance of maintaining clear, well-defined routes for refugees in need. This simplifies refugee transportation and keeps them safe when migrating. Also, as Clause 3 states, refugee camps should be set up at the border, again making it easier for refugees to migrate or stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Due to time constraints, the chair will not be entertaining appointed information from the delegate. How does the delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
Thank you very much. We are still in open debate time for the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates making a speech for or against or submit an amendment, please raise the flag cards now. Delegate of Afghanistan, you've been recognized.
Dear fellow delegates and most esteemed chairs, the delegation of Afghanistan strongly believes this idea because we need to support and help all refugees around the world. The delegation of Afghanistan also agrees that we do need hygiene, food, and shelter. We should all help them and provide them with whatever they need. Every refugee needs a home.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Due to time constraints, the chairs will not be entertaining any points of information. How does the delegate wish to yield?
back to the chairs.
Thank you very much. The chairs will now be entertaining a closed debate session on the resolution as a whole. The chairs will be entertaining one speech for and one speech against. If there are any delegates to make a speech for the resolution as a whole, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Nigeria, you've been recognized.
Dear fellow delegates and most esteemed chairs, the Delegate of Nigeria supports this resolution because it supports the lives of many kids and people. Looking at clause number 2 as a whole, unlike any other, has encouraged overprivileged and developed countries to donate 1% of their taxes or more. This is a strong and solid reason that is likely to be accepted by any country that is willing to help, because they are keeping citizens ahead and not giving a lot of money. The Delegate of Nigeria once again strongly supports this resolution because it will support all refugees, but also the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Due to time constraints, the chairs will not be entertaining a point of information. How does the delegate wish to yield?
I wish to yield it to the Delegate of Iraq.
That will not be granted due to time constraints. Apologies, Delegate. Could the delegate please yield the floor back to the chair?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The chairs will now be entertaining one final speech against the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech against the resolution, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Ukraine, you've been recognized.
The Delegate of Ukraine strongly disagrees. Since more refugees come in one country, the tax will hardly become higher.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Due to time constraints, the chairs will not be entertaining any points of information. Could the delegate please yield the floor back to the chair?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, the chairs will be proceeding on the voting procedures for the resolution as a whole. Admin staff, please secure your positions, suspend no passing, and secure the doors. Admin staff, suspend no passing. All delegates wishing to vote in favour of the resolution as a whole, please raise their flag cards now. Thank you very much. Lower them, please. All those wishing to vote against. Thank you very much. Lower them. With over 80 votes in favour and 3 votes against, the resolution passes with an overwhelming majority. Clapping will be in order. Delegates, in 2 minutes, the chairs will be entertaining the second resolution of the General Assembly. Please be ready to have a read through the resolution and prepare speeches. Delegates, could the House please come to order? Due to multiple no passings and excessive communication in the floor, the chairs will be suspending no passing for the next 10 minutes. Admin staff, please suspend all note passing for the next 10 minutes.
Delegates do not know which resolution to look at.
Delegates, in your junior MUN folders, there's a resolution called GA ECOFIN-resolution. Please find the PDF and it's called the GA ECOFIN resolution. I repeat, GA ECOFIN resolution. Delegates, the General Assembly will start in 1 minute. Admin staff, please secure positions, and all delegates, if the delegates does not have access to the resolution, please reach the nearest admin for help.
Reminder to go on the PDF, not this document here, so that you can see the unedited version.
Delegates, when opening the PDF file for GA ECOFIN resolution, please do not click on the Open in Document. Please do not click Open in Document button. Delegates, the chair will be entertaining 2 minutes of reading time, so delegates, please proceed with quickly reading the resolution. The reading time has now elapsed. The General Assembly will begin on the debate of the second resolution from the Economic and Financial Committee, the second committee from the General Assembly. Admin staff, please secure positions, and House, please come to order. Could the main submitter of the resolution please approach the podium and deliver their main submitter speech? Delegate of Unicef, due to time constraints, please do not read the resolution.
So just the speech.
Yeah.
This is the one that I need. Highly esteemed chairs and fellow delegates, as many of us know, child health and well-being is a problem in all nations, even those who are totally or relatively developed. You should vote for our resolution because well-being is a problem worldwide. Our solutions ensure that countries, and especially children around the globe, have better access to health care and other important resources. In addition, our main source for providing this help is not from taxes or the government, but from the UN's fund and voluntary workers. A resolution goes from simple first aid training all the way to better and more efficient access to the treatment of deadly sicknesses. Our goal is to create a long-term solution for child health and well-being, resulting in a better world for us all. Now we ask again, please vote for a resolution and create a world where all human beings, especially children, are supported. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the Delegate open itself to any points of information?
Any and all.
Seeing that the Delegate has opened itself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. The Chair asks again, are there any delegates wishing to make a point of information for the Delegate of Unicef? Please raise their flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the Delegate wish to yield?
To the Chair.
So yielded. The Chair will now be entertaining an open debate session on the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against, or submit an amendment for the resolution as a whole, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Indonesia, you've been recognized.
Dear fellow delegates and highly esteemed chair, the Delegate of Indonesia thinks that this resolution is very good, as it shows how mental sicknesses can affect people.
Thank you, Delegate. Does the Delegate open himself to any points of information?
None.
Seeing the Delegate has opened himself to no points of information, how does the Delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
So yielded. We're now once again in an open debate session for the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against or submit an amendment, please raise their flag cards now. The Delegate of France, you've been recognized.
Fellow delegates and highly esteemed chairs, the delegation of France thinks this resolution could help many children in need by urging local citizens to make their own medicines and asking medical staff to teach others how to proceed a medical checkup and simple first aid training. Also, this resolution states that they would request member nations to work alongside organizations such as MAMI. The delegation of France strongly supports this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate, for your speech. Does the Delegate open itself to any points of information?
No.
Seeing the Delegate has opened herself to none points of information, how does the Delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
So yielded. Thank you very much. The floor is once now again open, and if there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against or submit an amendment, please raise the flag cards now. Delegate of Iraq, you've been recognized.
Dear fellow delegates, most esteemed chairs, the Delegate of Iraq agrees with this resolution because the clauses are something that can actually be done instead of costing lots of money, such as Clause 8, which states 8. Further requests that member states help children in poverty with severe illness or injuries by funding health organizations such as UNICEF, WHO, and UNDP, funding research on those illnesses to create vaccines and treatments, funding an ambulance system so that hard-to-reach poverty location can get rapid treatment before getting worse, and more. As you can see, many of the solutions can be done without lots of money. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate open itself to any points of information?
Any at all.
Seeing that the delegates open itself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Are there any delegates wishing to make points of information? Seeing none, how does the delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The floor is once now again open for speeches for and against the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech or an amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Yemen, you've been recognized. Delegate of Yemen, on the right-hand side, please approach the podium. Yes.
What is that? The Delegate of Yemen strongly disagrees when it says that the hospital staff should teach people to take care of themselves when they have a small injury. Because firstly, hospital staff would not have the time, and because small injuries can quickly become big and dangerous injuries.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate open himself to any points of information?
Any and all.
Seeing that the delegate has opened himself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise the flag cards now. Delegate of Unicef, you've been recognized.
Does the delegate realize that what is being talked about is if there's a small injury that you try to treat it yourself, and then if it gets worse, you can still go to a hospital?
So then what's the point in treating it yourself if you're still going to end up going to the hospital anyway, if it gets worse?
Right to reply.
That will be granted.
Does the delegate realize that, of course, you can then still go to the hospital, but you can still try to heal it yourself, and if it then does get healed, you saved someone else's life by not going to the hospital?
How do you know you would save someone else's life?
Point of personal privilege, the delegate is talking too quietly.
Could the delegate please repeat their point of privilege?
The delegate is talking too quietly.
Could the delegate please rephrase the question, the answer to the point of information?
Surely it's still better to be safe than sorry. If you go to the hospital, then you're definitely going to be at less risk of having a big injury.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And now, once again, open debate. The chair will be entertaining a speech for or against or an amendment for the resolution as a whole. If there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Pakistan, you've been recognized.
On Clause 5.d, surgical instruction,
we think that a lot of people would not like getting surgery by a non-licensed citizen. And we also think it can be dangerous even if they were taught by a licensed doctor.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the Delegate open itself to any points of information?
2.
Seeing that the Delegate has opened itself to 2 points of information, if any on the floor, please raise the flag cards now. Delegate of Unicef, you've been recognized.
Does the delegate of Pakistan realize that the people who would be trained to be surgeons or to do this surgical treatment would, of course, get this training from professionals that have done this many times before? Also, that the people who would be doing these surgeries would be chosen and wouldn't just be able to walk into a doctor and ask a doctor or nurse if they could just do a surgery just like that?
Yes, we do recognize this. And there's a difference between a licensed doctor and a one that's still learning. So, yeah, I don't know more now.
Thank you.
Right to reply.
That will be granted.
Does the delegate of Pakistan realize that the people who would be doing the surgery would be trained by professionals to earn this license?
Yes, we do. But there's more, you have to learn more than just how to do surgery to really be professional at it.
Right to reply.
That will not be granted due to time constraints. Apologies, Delegate. Does the Delegate wish to yield the floor back to the Chair?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The floor is once now again open for speech for or against on an amendment for the resolution as a whole. If there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Poland, you've been recognized.
Fellow delegates and esteemed chairs, the delegation of Poland is for this resolution because it will help give access to cures for deadly diseases to people, especially children around the world. Also, children's health is a very important thing, even in developed countries. It's important that all funds necessary are used to help it become better, and when doing that, improve the lives of many children around the world. Also, it will help many people in less developed countries get the medical care that they need. Plus, also, it gets its money from the UN fund and not from taxes or government money, so that any nations that can't pay for it will not have to use their money. The delegation of Poland supports this resolution, and it hopes that the other delegates will too.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the Delegate open itself to any points of information?
Any and all.
Seeing that the Delegate has opened itself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the Delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chairs.
Thank you very much. The floor is once now again open for a speech for or against or an amendment. If there are any that wishing to make such, please raise the flag cards now. Delegate from Norway, you've been recognized. Delegate of Norway. Would the delegate of Norway wish to retract their speech? Delegate of Norway, please proceed with your speech.
I'm sorry.
The delegate has retracted their speech for the resolution. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against or submit an amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Okay. Delegate Franks, you've been recognized.
The delegate of France agrees with the delegate of Unicef. Since the children in this world are the next generation for our world, it is clear that we have to take care of them by feeding, well education, and a clean environment to live. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate wish to accept any points of information?
None.
Seeing that the delegate has accepted non-points of information, how does the delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
Thank you very much. The floor is once again open for an open debate for the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against or submit an amendment, please raise the flag cards now. Delegate of Republic of Korea, you've been recognized.
Dear delegates and most esteemed chairs, the delegate of the Republic of Korea agrees with the resolution because we agree with the idea of developing an emergency fund from all nations so that after a catastrophe, the land that got hit gets immediate medical help. We also like the thought of implementing healthcare systems being available to each citizen that's badly injured or sick. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate open herself to any points of information?
Any and all.
Seeing that the delegate has opened herself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise the flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the delegate wish to yield?
To the chair.
Thank you very much. We are still in open debate for the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against or submit an amendment for the resolution, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of WHO, you've been recognized.
I wish to speak upon my amendment.
Would the delegate wish to entertain the amendment?
Yes.
The amendment reads as follows. The delegate of WHO proposed to add the clause, subclause C, pandemics, to clause 1. Please proceed with your speech.
For subclause 1, which states, it says to have an emergency fund for either war or conflict, and then subclause 2, it states to have it for natural disasters, and subclause 3 should be to have it for pandemics. In case a pandemic happens, then there'll be a fund for it so that they can put research into it and try to develop a vaccine for it.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate open herself to any points of information?
Any at all.
Seeing that the delegate has opened herself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise the flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the delegate wish to yield?
To the chair.
Thank you very much. Due to time constraints, the chair will be directly entering the closed debate on the amendment as a whole. The chair will be entertaining one speech for and one speech against the amendment. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech against the amendment as a whole, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Vietnam, you've been recognized. Delegates, could the House please come to order? Before proceeding with the speech, the chair would like to suspend note passing for the next 3 minutes. Please proceed with your speech.
Please proceed with your speech.
Is this to keep it or to get rid of it?
So, is it for or against? Do you want to get rid of it?
Delegates, please be aware that the delegate will be making a speech for the amendment as a whole.
Dear fellow delegates and esteemed chairs, the Delegate of Vietnam agrees to keep the resolution because if we didn't, it would be really hard to understand some things on there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate wish to yield the floor back to the chair?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Now, when again in close debate for the amendment as a whole, the chair will now be entertaining a final speech against the amendment as a whole. If there are any delegate wishing to make a speech against the amendment, please raise the flag card now. Delegate of Yemen, you've been recognized. Does the Delegate of Yemen retract their speech? The Delegate of Yemen has retracted their speech. Are there any motion to move to previous questions? As there are no objections, the chair will now move to previous question and enter voting procedure for the amendment as a whole. Admin staff, please secure positions and secure the doors. Suspend all no passings. All delegates wishing to vote in favour of the amendment, please raise their flag cards now. Please lower them. All those wishing to vote against. Please lower them. Due to an overwhelming majority, the amendment has passed. Please make appropriate changes to the resolution. Clapping will not be in order. The chair will now be directly entering the open debate session for the amendment for the resolution as a whole. With no ado, the chair will be entertaining a speech for or against the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against for the resolution, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Germany, you've been recognized.
Dear fellow delegates and esteemed chairs, the Delegate of Germany stands for this resolution because the idea of working alongside other organizations to help out will make a big impact on children's health and well-being. The Delegate of Germany especially stands with the fact that a healthcare system should be developed and every child will be allowed to have a health care and a safe well-being. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate. Does the delegate open itself to any points of information?
Any and all.
Seeing that the delegate has opened itself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise the flag cards now. Seeing none, how does the delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
So yielded. The chair will be entertaining an open debate session on the resolution as a whole again. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for or against the resolution as a whole or submit an amendment, please raise their flag cards now. The chair will now be opening a speakers list for the speeches. The first two speakers lists for the resolution will be from Guatemala and Afghanistan. Delegate of Guatemala, please proceed with your speech. Delegate of Guatemala, does the delegate wish to retract their speech? As the delegate of Guatemala has retracted their speech, could the delegate of Afghanistan approach the podium and deliver their speech?
Dear fellow delegates and esteemed chairs, the delegation of Afghanistan agrees with this solution because they do need simple first aid and governments investing more of their money into healthcare systems. We should have first aid because what if someone gets hurt? What do? Nothing, because we don't have first aid.
Thank you very much, delegate. Does the delegate open itself to any points of information?
None.
Seeing that the delegate has opened herself to non-points of information, if there are any on the floor, please, apologies, how does the delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chairs.
Thank you very much. Admin staff, for the last 5 minutes of the General Assembly, the chairs will be suspending the no passings. So admins, please secure your positions, and all officers, please return back to the podium. The Assembly will now be entering a final closed debate on the resolution as a whole. If there are delegates wishing to make a speech for and against the resolution as a whole, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Guatemala, you've been recognized.
The delegate of Guatemala agrees with the clause 4. The clause 6 because citizens can mend cuts with just putting on band-aids, but serious injuries they have to go to the doctor. And if a citizen just go to the doctor for a band-aid, then it'll just be ridiculous and it'll waste time.
Thank you very much, delegate. Does the delegate open itself to any points of information?
None.
Seeing that the delegate hasn't opened itself to any points of information, how does the delegate wish to yield?
Back to the chair.
Thank you very much. The chair will now be entertaining a closed debate session on the resolution as a whole. The chair will now be entertaining one speech for and against the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegates wishing to make a speech for the resolution, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Venezuela, you've been recognized.
The delegate of Venezuela agrees with the solution for first aid solution because if someone gets hurt or sick, no one would be there to help them, and then there could be a chance of them to die or something.
Thank you very much, delegate. Does the delegate open itself to any points of information?
Yes.
Seeing that the
Any
delegate...
and all.
Could the delegate repeat?
Any and all.
Seeing that the delegate has opened itself to any and all points of information, if there are any on the floor, please raise their flag cards now. Delegate of Turkey and Vietnam, you've been recognized in that order. Delegate of Nigeria, you also have been recognized.
Are you aware of how much this may cost
for every injury?
Yes. It sometimes might matter what kind of injury it might be sometimes, so.
So if it was like a
Polish delegate, direct conversations during the conference will not be allowed.
Okay.
Delegates, please proceed with your point of information.
And if someone was running, for an example, on a jog, how would they be able to carry their first aid without actually with holding it in their hand if they're holding their water bottle and, for an example, their phone?
A delegate of Venezuela could not hear the delegate of Vietnam.
The delegate of Vietnam rephrase their points of information.
The delegate of Vietnam says that if, for an example, if someone is jogging with their phone and water bottle in their hands, how are they supposed to carry their first aid?
Well, they could maybe have maybe a pouch to put the first aid in or something.
Thank you very much. Could the next delegate please proceed with their points of information? Also, delegates, please be noted that all nose passing is now suspended.
The delegate of Nigeria's question has already been answered.
Thank you very much. Could the delegate please yield the floor back to the chairs?
I yield to that.
Thank you very much. The chair will now be entertaining one final speech against the resolution as a whole. If there are any delegate wishing to make a speech against the resolution, please raise their flag cards now. Seeing none, the chairs will now proceed with the voting procedures of the resolution. Admin staff, please secure positions. Suspend all no passings. All the delegates wishing to make a vote in favour of the resolution, please raise their flag cards now. All those against? Any abstentions? With 48 votes in favour, 2 against, and with 1 abstention, this resolution passes. Clapping will be in order. The President of the General Assembly officially declares the General Assembly for the FISMA 2022 has now ended, and the FISMA will now be proceeding with their their closing ceremonies. In 1 minute, could the admins make sure that the delegations from the Security Council and the Economic and Social Council and their presidents enter the General Assembly?
That means for the delegates already sitting in here, please just stay seated. We're simply just getting the Security Council and ECOSOC members down here now. So if you could simply just wait a minute and stay seated, that would be great. Thank you.
Delegates, also, please close your